Beautiful people. I was recently inspired by Avalon Cameron's video on her charm collection. And some time before that, I was also inspired by Kelly from The Truth in Story and her charm collection, as well as her charm casting video. And I'll try and find it and link it below for you. Not only that, way back in the early days, Elle Jacobs, she also had an amazing charm collection, and she did basically what Avalon did. She suggested to me, hey, don't go out and buy things necessarily. You can find so many little bits and pieces around your home and use them as charms, and that I truly love. So when I watched Avalon's video just recently, it reminded me of that conversation that I had with Elle about finding charms just around the house, and just it allows you to use your creativity and intuition more so at times, rather than, just buying the stock standard charms that you get in shops. Having said all that, I do have quite a few charms that I bought some time ago. I was very interested in charm casting, and then I sort of, just got back to the cards, and that was that. But to be honest with you, I had charms many years ago, and quite a few. I'm a bit bummed in a way that I gave them away, but at the time I just thought, look, I think my days are done with the charms, and I put them in a beautiful little bag and gave them to a charity shop. So I'm sure someone's getting good use out of them. But I thought I would show you what I have, because I was so inspired by the videos of Avalon and Kelly that, if you're thinking about it, maybe this may help you seal the deal. I've got more than I remember, to be totally honest with you, now that I look at them. So I'll do my best to move through them quite quickly. This camera isn't a big fan of doing, short and immediately after that long distance shots. It can get a bit confusing. So I'll see how I go. A few of these charms I look at much the same as, say, the Lenormand philosophies. Let's see if I can find a few here, and we'll go through them quickly. I might just pause for a second. Okay, so to start with, here's one example, the anchor. So, as you know, in Lenormand, often it pertains to something being settled or long-term, especially when you're speaking of a job. So it can be steady progress, something that's very grounded. It can talk about patience, but also being stuck in a situation or feeling stuck within yourself. Here's a butterfly, and obviously we often think about transformation when it comes to a butterfly, but I also think of that sociable, playful side. It could even be something that's a little superficial. It can mean dancing around the subject, but all in all, something non-permanent. You think about butterflies almost sort of dancing over the flowers and plants when you see them in the garden, so that really rings true for me. In the Lenormand, we have often, we have the birds card, and often owls are also depicted in that card. So with the owl, obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is wisdom. It might be saying you need to wise up over this situation. It can talk about higher education or higher knowledge. It can speak of wise counsel, whether it be you or someone in the vicinity, someone with an area of expertise, a teacher, but also the owls seeing in the dark over a situation. The bird, obviously, is communication, friends, groups, gathering, networking, but also mind chatter and perhaps even gossip and slander. And I used to live on Tambourine Mountain, and we had bird feeders attached to our home. We had 300 acres of bushland behind us, and so there were families of rainbow lorikeets, and they are so gorgeous and so cheeky, but talk about chatter and bossy. So I always think about that side of the bird when I see this little fellow here. Yeah, they were adorable, but wow, there's a lot of family debates that go on around the dinner table. Okay, same thing goes for the fish. As in Lenormand, I see abundance and finances, financial success, business activities, opportunities, but also movement. And sometimes it can pertain to something slippery, something that you can't hold on to, or someone. But then it can also talk about flowing, things being in the flow. It might be about swimming upstream. There's so many different things you can allocate with the fish. Also in Lenormand, we have the key, and often it talks about, it doesn't talk about dropping it all over the place. It talks about success. It talks about a big fat yes, like the key can often mean, oh yeah, that's it. Obviously it can, you might say it's the answer to your question, here it is. So I would look also at what sits next to it, or what the key is attached to when you cast charms. And of course it can be about unlocking something, unlocking a mystery. It could be perhaps a revelation. In the Lenormand, we also have a tower, and the tower talks about isolation, needing to be alone. It could be loneliness. But I use this at the moment for long distance travel. The one thing I haven't been able to find is a plane, like an aircraft. So I'm trying to be creative and find something around the house. Not sure yet what it would be. So until then, I use this as long distance travel, and I use a bike as short distance travel. So the bike can also talk about movement in general. Things are on the move. But yeah, it's always going to be closer to home. And for me, the Eiffel Tower, because it's on the other side of the world to me, is long distance travel. But I would like to be able to use that for solitude and isolation down the track. So I just got to find myself a plane. Now, in Lenormand, we have the bouquet in Lenormand. This is a rose, so I look at this as fertility, something positive, new opportunities, something is opening up, it's blooming. It can be passion. It can really pertain to romance and also fertility. So I also have a heart. So if I saw these together, I would certainly look at it being about passion and romance and things of that nature. Speaking of passion, I also have here a couple dancing. So I look at that as a couple, like I could say use that as a partnership significator if somebody was asking about their partner as an example. But generally speaking, I would say it's about fun and creativity, cooperation, working together, commitment, and just partnership in general. So it could even be a business partnership. So you use that and add other elements. What else do I have? Oh, this is a sun that I purchased in Albuquerque. This is very special to me because I purchased this from a Native American family who had a Native American shop, and they sell charms for different reasons. It's not about casting. It often pertains to health matters and personal matters. And they were the most beautiful family. I will never forget them. But of course, I use this for everything that you'd imagine: success, clarity, joy, accomplishment, energy. Sometimes you can look at this as, because it's the sun, it's warming the situation. So maybe this, can talk about, yes, you will get what you have been seeking, what you've been looking for. And the sun lights the path forward, doesn't it? It lights things up and warms things up. Now, I have a clock here, and I also have a little bell. So I'll show you both. So the little clock is an alarm, one at a time. The little clock is actually an alarm clock. So I think about that as timing and time to do something, time to take action. It could be perhaps something alarming in that particular spread, but I don't know whether I sometimes think a little bit along the lines of Judgment card. It's like, it's time. So this being an alarm clock, it's more of, there's a sense of urgency. Whereas with the bell, I kind of look at this, I don't have a marble, but it's like you can roll with it. The bell does roll. It's still bringing something to your attention too. So it might say, pay attention to this, but it's not an alarming situation like that. So there's a greater sense of urgency with the alarm clock to me than the bell. Just playing around with this at the moment, folks, so, you know, nothing is set in stone. Here is a gorgeous little deer, and this is about sensitivity and I think also fun with this, creativity. What else would I say about the deer? Being gentle with yourself, innocence, yeah, gentleness, intuition, and playfulness. This little star shell here, well, this little shell I use as a star, as in the star card. It's like a wish. Stay hopeful, make a wish, or a wish come true. I think it's ever so sweet. Then there's another shell that I picked up the other day at the beach. And this one here, well, let me find the shield. See here, I used this one here as a shield. And the shell, I thought, oh, well, it's kind of a similar philosophy for me when I look at that shell, like a protective shield. So I thought this one here can be protection. It can deflect energies. It can cover something up. But it's more like a barrier, and it's more about going into battle. So that's a very kind of intense and intended move forward. You know, you put that shield forward as you go into battle. Maybe this is about breaking down barriers. But this one here is more, when you flip it over, this is my beautiful 11-year-old niece and I sat down the other day, and she said, oh, it's like you're hiding under something. So you're protecting yourself, but it's not coming from a courageous perspective like this one. It's more coming from fear. And she came up with something really good if it's upright. And do you think I can remember what she said? So I'll have to ring her and ask her. But she's a little dynamo. We had so much fun going through these together the other day. But yes, that's what I feel like. It's like you're kind of hiding under a rock, but make it something different if it lies upright. And if it comes back to me, I will share it with you. Now, with the key always comes a lock. So you could use them in partnership if you wanted to. If not, you can look at the lock as, say, obviously a secret or something that's hidden, something put away, something that is inaccessible perhaps, something that's under lock and key, something that is for your eyes only. It is private. Now this is the psychic hand. And so I look at this, as divine intervention, something that's out of your hands. So in other words, we're talking about destiny. We're talking about perhaps a karmic lesson, a karmic period of time that you're moving through. Keep in mind, karmic periods are not always bad. It's just a karmic cycle is what I'm trying to say. If not, perhaps past life karma. That's an interesting one. Now here I have two interesting little instruments. I've got a pair of scissors, so this is cutting into something, and then a paper clip, which was inspired by Avalon, holding something together. And what I like about this is, to me, it's holding something together, or you need to, combine something or combine energies, combine ideas, bring it together, but it needs to be held together, but it's non-permanent when I think about that. So was there something? Oh, yeah. So that's right. That's cutting into something, whether you do it or the universe does. But holding something together by a screw is different. With this, I get a lot of strength and more of a permanent fixture when I look at this. And as Avalon said, you can use the screw as, really driving something home. Look at what's at, the round end as opposed to the pointy end also. And I'm sure you can, read a lot of stories and a lot of, well, not a lot of stories, but you know what I mean? Your imagination can really delve deeply when looking at something like that, depending on the situation of the person that's casting and what sits around it, and especially either side of it. So I thought that was very, very cool. Here is an elephant, one of the most beautiful animals in the world. So I look at that as something long-lasting, strength, cooperation, endurance, even family. And family, what comes with family can be pride or family pride, responsibility and connectedness when you think about elephants and how much they remember. So again, this can be going back in time. It could be very retrospective, or it could represent nostalgia also, perhaps, due to their incredible memories. Here is a little feather. So obviously the feather pertains to something that is lightweight and once again, perhaps non-permanent. It could be movement, inspiration, freedom, something taking flight. So you might even use that as part of your travel read as well, if you wanted to do something, travel spread. What else do I have here? Oh, here's another Lenormand one that I forgot to show you. The cross I look at as much the same thing, something that is a burden, something that's heavy to carry or too much to bear. Also, I look at the cross as feeling obliged to do something that you don't really want to do. And of course it can be religion. Of course it can. And prayer. What else do we have here? This is a little handbag. I don't have a suitcase per se, but this handbag I look at as, well, I can allocate it to baggage, obviously, like personal baggage. But also I look at it as something on the move. Normally when you go out on the move, you're out in the public sector, you bring your bag, whether it's a suitcase or a handbag or a briefcase, same thing. It could even be a need for movement, a need for freedom. So if you're stuck, you might have been screwed down to the floor and this comes up and you just want to get back out there, being on the move. Sometimes, depending on the situation, I may use this as baggage or something weighing you down. Again, depends. So there's a bit of versatility with that one. Here I have a giraffe. Oh, that's not a giraffe. Here I have a giraffe. Interesting one that. I thought maybe this can be something about taking on tall tasks or taking on something that appears to be out of reach, but also taking a higher perspective, a bird's eye view about something, looking at the bigger picture. You could even look at this as your higher self if you wanted to, or perhaps this is something that you're really willing to stick your neck out for. Yes, it's a cliche, but I think it works. Now, the little turtle. So obviously something that takes some time. You don't want to be impatient, or it might even, tell you, this is the time for patience. I'm sorry, you can't rush through this process. This is slow moving. You need to pace yourself, or you need to slow it down. Be persistent. Please remain determined. Persevere, because through steady effort, you're going to come up, trumps. You could do ancient wisdom too, considering it's a turtle. Think Galapagos Islands. Now these two pieces here were inspired by Avalon. I thought this is really cool. So this is some glass I found at the beach. Obviously it has been caressed. Actually, there's three. They've all been caressed by the salt water and the sand. So these two here are frosted. And so, as Avalon said, this is something that's unclear, right? Can't quite see. And then I found this one here, which obviously was a beer bottle. And that's really shady and shadowy. So I like that. It's like, I'd say this is murky waters. This is quite a warning. Uh-oh. Whereas this one here is, again, it's unclear. So you may have to take some time and really clarify the question or the path that you're on at the moment. The third piece here, this looks very sharp. So that's the thing, you can use it for kind of something that's broken or some sort of injury, stabbing. But it's actually not, it's not dangerous. It is now quite smooth on the edges thanks to the sand and sea. So as the person that's casting, you're not going to cut yourself, thank God, but you can use it as something cutting. So the scissors is, I would say, something fairly standard, something mild. It's not harmful, it's just a cutting action, whereas this one I would look at certainly more intense and has the potential to be harmful or dangerous. Here is the little bird in the bird cage. So I look at that as confinement, maybe feeling caged in or restricted. Perhaps you can't get away. You might be looking for a way out. Here we have a camera. So I use this as something to focus on, something that you need to take a closer look at. You need to zoom in. Maybe it might be about documenting something. It can also pertain to creativity. And of course, if you wanted to, you could make that about travel. But I prefer to stick to, you know, something that you really need to zoom in on and focus on. This is a ribbon. Whoops, if I can get it in my hand. So I thought of charities when I saw this ribbon. You know how a lot of charities use ribbons, like there's the pink ribbon for cancer research and things like that. So you could look at this as support, hope. When I think of the charities, I thought, you know, bring awareness to something, perhaps. So if you looked at it like that, again, you'd look at what is the ribbon sitting next to. But all in all, it could be tie up loose ends, or you're tied to something or someone at this time, or maybe you need to join something together, but probably not, because that's what the paperclip is for. So I'd look at this as all tied up, or that sort of hope and support and awareness side of things. Also, make something look pretty. Making something more aesthetically pleasing. If you think about, you know, a ribbon in a child's hair, or easier to manage. Again, you can go, I think, to many places with the ribbon. Now, this is a little scuff. So damn cute. So I look at this because you put these on in a spa. So you can look at this as relaxation, a retreat, a spa, a treatment, but also I think home comforts, family, things like that. So anything kind of fourth house astrology, I would use this scuff, home, family, even nostalgia, because anything to do with the fourth house and home, there's always connections to the past. The fourth house is ruled by the moon, so it could be all things feminine, because clearly this is for a lady. It's got little flowers on the top. Anyway, all those kinds of things is what I use this for, even if you wanted to do something with regards to the immediate environment, because again, that's it can still be connected to home and family. Here I have a cat and a dog. So the dog, again, that's another Lenormand one that I forgot to show you earlier. Same thing, you know, the dog is about loyalty, friendship, friendly person or friendly situation, willing to please. And the cat, of course, is about independence, courage, patience, curiosity, all in all, exploring the unknown. So you could even look at deep connection of self with the cat, because again, the cat goes out into the night, into the darkness to explore and discover things. This, I was inspired again by Avalon. This is a piece of clear quartz. You can use this as your higher mind or your spirit guides, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Here's another. I'm finding all these other Lenormand things. Clover, same thing. It's a little bit of good luck coming your way, a little bit of maybe even a little bit of time out, a bit of peace. It's perhaps growth, some opportunities, maybe even a chance for new life. But all in all, we'll say good fortune. Yeah, never a bad thing with Clover. Here is, you saw the scuff. Now this is a shoe. So I look at this as more about the public sector and professionalism. So you can look at this as career, status, authority, walking the talk. This person means business. Now there's another pair that I need to show you. I'll just show you this quickly while I've got it. This is a fan. So again, this could be about movement, or things are moving along, but also perhaps, I think you could use this for change if you wanted to, like the Wheel of Fortune. Things are always in, you know, that cycle of change, I think would be a good one. Or maybe even about cooling a situation down. You know, things are getting too hot, too tricky. So, yeah, the fan is just to cool it down. Maybe it's about something that just, you know, is about to blow away. It may end up out of your reach. All of us, one minute it's there and the next minute it just kind of blows away in the breeze, so to speak. This is an old SIM card of mine, and I use this as like the letter in Lenormand. This is about paperwork, contracts, certificates, emails, anything to do with, anything to do with written work, certificates and so on. This little orange flower here, so I showed you the rose earlier. Orange often pertains to healing, so you could, if you wanted to, like there's, well, I can, I suppose. I've got all the, I'll get it out eventually. I've got a whole bunch of these in different colours, so again, I could add a few if I wanted to, but this one here, because I don't have a lily, I decided to use this for the moment as a similar kind of theme to this, meaning calm, stability, perhaps retired, mature, well-established, something or someone that's older and successful, someone with experience and wisdom. This flower is in full bloom, whereas this one here, even though technically it is in full bloom also, I look at this as opening up, and this has been in full bloom for some time, if you know what I mean. So this is more of a youthful kind of energy than this one. So that's just a personal choice on my part, really. I thought I'd get creative too. These two little nuts here, I decided to use these as links. So if this falls between two other charms, I look at this as these two elements need to be linked together, or perhaps they already are, and you might need to or want to look closer into that. And it's, look, I've had a little play around. It does actually work. Again, you've got to set your intention beforehand, but I was pleasantly surprised as to how well it fit in. This here I just use as something, you could use this for something going around in circles, or you're just going around in circles, or you could say this is a complete cycle. So something has, you know, a sense of completion, and a very similar kind of feel to this. I don't have a marble, so I use this large bell. This is more like a sphere. So I thought of maybe the World card, or that sense of accomplishment, fulfillment, wholeness. It's like a climax, or being on top of the world, perhaps big opportunities, because this is the big bell, and or beneficial relationships, that kind of thing. So this is a completion, and this one here more the end of a cycle. Difference between the two, as far as I'm concerned anyway. This dear little shell I picked up at the beach the other day, and it is so beautiful. It's just not picking up the colour at this stage in the day. It's like a pale, pale, pale pink, almost like the skin colour of a little baby. It is beautiful. It's so gentle. So, again, I sat down with my niece, and she said the same. Wow, this is gentle. It looks like, you know, you need to nurture yourself. God bless her. She's on the money. So that is exactly that. If, say, for instance, you threw this with the little scarf, I'd be saying right now you really need to slow down and be gentle on yourself. You know, take yourself off for a massage or go get a healing, whatever it be. But yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Or just something that's very gentle. Again, it would work well with the deer. What else do I have here? Oh, this I cut out. This is actually the edge of a spare tarot card. So this is tarot for me. If I wanted to do a read about my tarot business or about tarot in general, I'll throw this in. This I love. This here needs a clean. It's actually silver. I haven't cleaned it for quite some time, as you can see. Oh, I'm ashamed. I'm sorry. But allow me. It's a little basket. And look what's inside. It's a snake. I wonder if I can get this thing to focus for you. No, that certainly didn't work. Seriously, I just spent 10 minutes getting this into focus for you. But there it is. It's a little snake. It's a cobra in a basket. Oh my God. My uncle bought this for me from India many years ago. It is absolutely adorable. So you can think Lenormand with the snake, but yeah, just that kind of general feeling that you get with something like this, a snake in a basket. The lid could pop off any time, so you might say something kind of unpredictable, untrustworthy, danger, a precarious situation, a sudden attack, a shock, and also that thing of thief or lost or being swindled by something or someone, even on edge perhaps, because you just don't know whether the snake's going to be quite happy just to hover there and enjoy the view or whether he's going to lash out. So yeah, that's the way I use him in the charms. Now, what else do I have to show you before I go? Oh, yes, Avalon has a magnet in her collection, which I also thought was very clever. This was a fridge magnet, and it said something like Bar Bingo. It's for a pub up the road. So, yeah, this is like attracting something. You're attracting something to you. Or maybe even, once again, you need to... what was it I was thinking this morning? Oh, yeah. Often people put magnets on their fridge, and why is that? It's to remind them of something. So that's the way I would see this too, that if it's, on top of something or right next to something, it's there to remind you, because that's what we use magnets for. I love it. And Avalon, again, thank you. I think this is so innovative. Elastic band, so easy, where you need to be more flexible about something. And this little shell here reminds me of a droplet of water in a pond and that ripple effect that comes out of it. So that to me is spreading. The energy is spreading outwards. And, all right, what else have I got? Oh, yes, these are the two I wanted to show you. Oh, hang on, where's the other one gone? Okay, here they are. I have a teapot and a genie bottle. Officially, I do believe they are both genie bottles, but the one on the left there, the little gold one, I'm using that as a teapot. So when I think about teapot, I think gathering, people gathering together, communication, group, sharing and exchange, and maybe even something that you have a thirst for. It could be thirst quenching, but I think, yeah, I would look at it as that, something that you have a thirst for. As far as the little genie bottle goes, and again, I'm sorry about the focus or lack of, there we go. The genie bottle is a little bit different. That is more about wish fulfilled, something maybe supernatural. You could say, be careful what you wish for, or you could say, this is your true wish. Or the difference between... yes, it's time to make a wish, your wish may be granted, and be careful what you wish for, I think, would be, depends what sits next to it. I mean, if you get the broken glass next to it, that's an moment. I think that's the way I'll be looking at that. This here, would you believe, is a comb that I found that belonged to a Barbie doll that I had when I was a kid. Unbelievable that I still have it. So I like that. The comb, you need to go through this situation with a fine-tooth comb, kind of like reading between the lines. This is not to be rushed. This is the opposite to the giraffe. This is not about a big picture project. It's not about looking from a higher perspective. This is really getting down into detail. So if you got that next to the camera, you really do need to zoom in. This L is for Leander, and that's me. So this was on a necklace that my dear old dad bought me many years ago. And so I use that as my significator if I decide to do, to do a charm casting for myself and see what surrounds me. And I think really that's about all. The only other thing I've got here, I use this as the ring, another Lenormand thing where really we look at this as commitment. What else is the ring? You know, again, you could say something going full cycle, but I would just use that as commitment. If you wanted to do a read about a couple, I just happened to, once again, this is just going around the house. This is a big old bling necklace that I was going to give to a charity shop. Because they're identical, but one is filled with the crystal and one isn't, or the glass, whatever the heck you want to call this stuff. So you could use that as a couple, male and female. You decide who's who, and then cast and see how far, like if you're asking about your partner, do they fall near each other or do they fall way, way apart? So that sort of reminds me of Lenormand also, where you have the male and female significator. So yeah, I think that's about it, other than to say, before I got the paperclip, this is also Barbie's hairpin. I will never focus this. I won't even try. But yeah, that's from an old Barbie that I had tucked away in a box that I forgot about. So she was actually a hairdresser, this particular Barbie. It's like top class, let me tell you. So I've got that. But again, that can be, you know, you want to pin things together. This little shell I also picked up on the beach and I love it, but I haven't allocated it to anything in particular. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. But, you know, it's got the pointy end rather. Actually, if they were the same size, you could also perhaps look at that as masculine and feminine, because this one here, even though it still has the pointy edge, it's the colour and the softness that it's very, very feminine to me. And so perhaps that could be, again, a male and a female if you wanted to. Wow, this is way longer than I wanted it to be. There's just a couple of other little bits and bobs in there, but I won't go into them at the moment. I think that's enough for you to think about. So there you have it. There's my charm set. I have another one. I'll explain that on another video, but I just hope this inspired you. Just have a look around. I'm going to keep fossicking around in my garage and in my little rec room and see what I can come up with. And just have a play. So I might cast these small charms on my round mat. You'll see on Avalon's video, she talks about past, present, future, where they lay. And I might do another video and just let you know what means, you know, or if it makes sense to me at all, and anything that I get out of it. So in the meantime, I will bid you all farewell. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.